ReachOut is all about beta testing campaigns. So we're a small coordination and support action to help other H2020 projects carry out beta testing campaigns. So beta testing campaigns take place in a larger objective behind ReachOut, which is to create value for research project. So as you know, delivering project results is not just producing code, and there's many more attributes that can create value for the project results, such as those mentioned here. Where the beta testing campaign fits is typically when a project has produced an alpha version and then a beta version, and the project is ready now to do some testing, and a beta testing campaign is a good way also to get some external feedback from other users to the project. So there's a number of interests of that beta testing campaign, a number of benefits that beta testing campaigns can bring to the project. First of all, well, it reaches out, that's the name of the project, to other potential users, so not just the people, but also other people outside there. It helps providing feedback, and by feedback you can increase the quality of the results of the project. Also what we call other product attributes, so that is not just the code but things that go beyond, such as packaging, such as documentation, such as setting up support, etc., which you have to do when you run a beta testing campaign and which contribute to the quality and to the market value of your project. And finally, through feedback that you have from beta testers, you can also identify other exploitation opportunities for your project results. So in a nutshell, what we say is that the project is ready to run a beta testing campaign. It means the project is ready to bring value to the market and to develop its ecosystem. So these are intrinsic qualities that typically when you run an H2020 project, the Commission will ask you for. So how ready is your results? We believe that the beta testing running a beta testing campaign can help you increase those qualities. So what we've done in ReachOut is we've developed a whole methodology. So I will not go through the details of the methodology here. However, it's all on the website, and I'll show you where to access it. So basically, we've formalized what a beta testing campaign is, and the different stakeholders that take part in the campaign. We've also identified the different parts that make a campaign and a whole workflow of actions. So we'll show you in the demo what it's all about. And we've put that together in what we call the ReachOut Beta Center. So the ReachOut Beta Center, we've got it all prepared. So there's a number of pages. So there's the campaign manager homepage, the campaign pages, there's a set of documentation templates. There's also a questionnaire that we produce. So when you set up a campaign, we produce for you a questionnaire. So we'll go through it in this webinar and show you the generic questionnaire we produce and how you can customize it. We also have a number of other packages that we make available to the project so that they can contact the beta testers, so that they can produce a report, so that they can make sure that they have some GDPR compliance disclaimers and so on. So the entry point is the campaign manager page, which is the entry point to the beta center. The campaign manager has access to resources, can edit their project description, can create beta testing campaign, access the questionnaires, and access what we call the campaign dashboard, which we'll show you as well later on. A campaign web page is what a beta tester will see. So it describes elements such as the logo, the website as well, the description of the campaign, links to whichever documentation you can be providing, requirements, if there is any, for participating, and the dates of the campaign, of course. So the dashboard is a tool that we've developed in ReachOut. It's a self-evaluation tool that helps the campaign manager, so typically the projects who run beta testing campaign, make sure that the campaign is well prepared and well executed. So this is a tool that we, the ReachOut project team, will also follow on with you. So typically, as part of the work that we do, even though the tools are self-service, we tend to help the project. So we help them in the phase of defining the campaign, of making sure that all the different steps are being followed, that you have the documentation, that you have the beta version of the software easily downloadable. Most importantly, that you have a scenario. Because typically, if you say, "Here is the link to my software, please test it," that won't work. So typically, what we've seen is that beta testers need to be guided. So it's a whole checklist that will go together when you're ready to define your campaign. So a typical timeline for a campaign from the very beginning. So you need to define the goal, prepare the software, or make sure the software is prepared, have a testing plan, have some documentation material, and engage with beta testers. So a rough estimate is that could take linear 1 to 2 months, depending on how already ready your project results are, how already well packaged they are. Then there's the actual campaign itself, where you also need to do, well, the beta testers will reply, but you might need to send some reminders, to might need to organize some support actions if you want to. So that takes 1 to 2 months roughly. And then once the results are there, we can help you produce or help you analyze them and produce a report, which you could actually produce to the commission during your project reviews. So the first thing you need to do is to register your project. So registering your project is done in a self-service mode, as we will see in a minute, and then you're ready to go. So one thing to note is when somebody registers as a campaign manager, the ReachOut project team gets a notification. So even though it looks like it's self-service, we also get notified. Other services that we can provide and that we're paid for by the commission is organize workshops. So we can typically organize a presentation during one of your project meetings. We can organize a dedicated workshop. So that's all things that that we are here to help for. So I think that's all for now for this presentation part, and we'll go to the actual demonstration. So this is the platform itself, and it's a self-service platform. So in this example, I'm a new campaign manager. I represent a project. I'm ready to start doing a beta testing campaign. So what I need to do is to register as a campaign manager. So if I click on this button, I will need to give information, my name, my email. So here I'm using a temporary email here, my country, and I create my username, which is this, and I enter a password here. I have read the informed consent form, and I register. So when you do the registration, there's an email that gets to you, standard email verification. So I check for my emails here. I've got an activation link, so I go to the activation link, which is being sent to me. I enter the username, I retype the password, and this will complete my registration as a campaign manager. So we've tried to make the platform as easy to do as possible. So when you register for the first time, because you're a campaign manager, we've created this little workflow which tells you that the first thing to do is to create your project. So by a project, it's your H2020 project, which may have several beta testing campaigns. So here I'm from ReachOut, so my project is ReachOut. So I will create the ReachOut project, and so it will ask me a number of information. I give a URL here, which is the ReachOut project. I choose a file, which is the ReachOut logo. and I give a description for my project, which I've already prepared. So there's a short description and a long description. So this is typically things that you have. So that's all about your project. So let me just save my project. And so in the workflow, step one was to declare the project. Now I'm to create a beta testing campaign. I can also see what the information about my project will look like to visitors with the short description and the long description. I've got a little Twitter link here, which I can click to tweet about the fact that my project is on ReachOut if I want to. And the next step is to create a campaign. So let's just say I'm going to create a beta testing campaign so that people can test the ReachOut platform. So let's just create that one. And when I create the campaign, a bit like for the project, I need to enter some information. So I will say the campaign will start today. It will end in 3 months, for example. I estimate that for the beta tester, so it's the information that you give to the beta tester, how long will it take to do the tests? So in the case of ReachOut, it should take you less than an hour to do it. So this is important information that you should give to beta testers so that they have an idea whether they should plan half a day or 10 minutes, or so only you can know that. Then you describe you describe the goal of the campaign. Why are you doing it? So here our goal is to test the ReachOut platform. Typically for your project, your goal might be to test a given module, to test an entire platform, to test user interface. So this you express so that the beta tester has an idea of why you're doing this campaign. The next step is to provide requirements. So requirements is what the beta tester should have in advance. So it could be something related to hardware or software, or to accounts, or it could be that there's no specific requirements. So it's up to you to know it. So in our case, if you want to test ReachOut, you need to have some software to test. You need to have a logo, etc., etc. So I'm just writing this here. Then you need to provide a scenario. So here I've prepared the scenario, which is the scenario that we're doing right now. And the last part, which is interesting, is the incentives. So the incentives for the campaign is how you will reward your beta testers. So this is something that's usually quite important. So we've done some research about what incentives beta testers usually like. So beta testers, remember, they're usually technical people. They're quite happy if you mention just their name on your webpage. So we will also mention their name on the ReachOut website. You can also have project goodies if you have some t-shirt or a mug or whatever that you could give to them for participating. So remember, beta testers often do this for free, so it's good to recognize them. It's good practice. And then you save. When you save this information, it will take you to the campaign manager page. So it's not active yet. It means that the beta testing campaign is still private at this point. The beta testers will not see it yet. It tells you that the campaign's been created. You can now modify it if you're not happy with what you see or with your input. You can still edit it. And also, what we've done is we've generated for you a questionnaire, which we'll look at in a few moments. So at the moment, you could just view what it is, and it reminds you that it's not activated. So there's a couple of actions you can do. You can edit it. You can customize and activate the questionnaire, which we'll do, and you can look at your campaign dashboard. So the campaign dashboard is the one I presented on the slides. So at the moment, everything's at 0 because it's self-declarative. So we can edit this dashboard. So I will not go through it in detail, but this is typically something that the ReachOut team can help you with. For each of the item, we've provided you with information. There's a whole number of things that you should be considering So here I'm just skipping through those for the moment. Are the incentive been ordered? So in our case, no, I've barely thought about incentives at this point. Then this is like the management part of the campaign. Then there's the preparation part. Have I defined a scenario? Is my software to be tested well packaged? And has it been tested? So uh, before having external beta testers testing it, it's good practice to have your own project people making sure that it's been tested. Have you tested that if there's a download link or a link in case of a SaaS version, is it operational? Is the whole scenario prepared? Have you got documentation? Have you developed the questionnaire? So in my case, no, I haven't, because the questionnaire is the one that ReachOut will generate for me. Are the fine prints ready? And do you have a communication package? So in my case, I haven't done it yet, let's just say. And the third part, which is about the campaign when it's running, so which is not yet. So we want to make sure that the campaign page is complete and alive, that you've done some campaign promotion action, that you've recruited beta testers, and later on during the course of the campaign that you've received 10 questionnaire responses, and that later that you've done some analysis of the responses, done some external report, and done some feedback session with us, and rewarded the beta tester. So if I save the dashboard, I will typically have a dashboard that says, apart from the incentives here, I'm quite ready from the management part, I'm fairly well prepared, and I haven't executed yet, which is fairly normal. Right, so if I go back to my campaign now, the thing I can do is to actually focus on the questionnaire now. So in ReachOut, what we do is we generate a questionnaire for your project, and it's based on a template that we've developed throughout this project. We've designed it. We've designed this questionnaire following recommendations from what we found in the literature. So there's if I go to the website here in the reading sections and share readings, I can see that about questionnaire and survey question. There's some hints and tips that we provide to you. So so these are just examples, and it's good practice when you develop the questionnaire. So we've tried to incorporate them in our generic questionnaire. So in things like, in general, when you have a questionnaire, you should mix what we call close-ended questions, where people answer with yes, no, which are easy to answer and encourage beta testers to get going. And you should mix them with open questions, where you actually ask them for, in an open box, what would you like to be improved, and to have some more direct personal feedback about when they use the software. So this is a page where you can find a number of such tips for drafting the questions. So where was I? I was here. So typically the next step is then to go to customize and activate the questionnaire. So this takes you to the questionnaire platform, which is associated with ReachOut. So here you have to you have to re-enter your login and password, which is the one that we had when we registered, and it will take you to your very questionnaire. So this this questionnaire here, if I go to the root here, it tells me that it's not activated because I've got the button here to activate, and I have a number of questions here, so I can view the list of questions. At the moment, it's just a list of questions, so it's the interface. So the best way to look at what the questionnaire would look like is you go to the root of it and you preview the survey. So this is what we're gonna do now. This is a preview mode. So what the beta tester would see is, this is about testing the ReachOut platform, and gives you the backlink to the campaign itself, tells you how many questions there are in the survey, and then what we've done is So these questions are the generic ones which we've generated, and when you first set up your campaign, these are generic questions. Did you manage to install the software? Yes or no? How would you rate the software installation? Is it easy, difficult, very easy? And then you've got a group of questions about functional feedback. Did you manage to go through the scenario? So we expect that you provide a scenario and people can enter comments here. So here is a question that we've left to be customized. So typically, in general, in your project, you typically want people to give you feedback on some particular items. So following the steps where you're able to do function X, do function Z, do function Y. So this is something that you will need to customize. I will show you in a minute how it works. We've got a question about saying, assuming that the software works, because there might still be bugs, we accept that. Does it answer, does it behave just like it's described in the scenario? So we can say yes, we can say no. You can say no because internet failed and I lost the session. So this is typically what a beta tester would do. Which features are most important to you? So again, this is an open question that we've gathered from literature, which is something that that's important. So what's so anything here would do, just for testing. And then you can decide also for each question whether it's compulsory. It's got a star here, or not compulsory. This you can change as well. So a question here that's interesting to ask your beta testers is, what do you think should be a feature that you should add? So we could say single sign-on between ReachOut and the questionnaire, for example. Do you have suggestions? They may or they may not. Then we have a section about user experience. So this is where you go into more details about each of the feature. Did you try the software beyond the scenario provided, yes or no? So maybe sometimes the beta tester will do more, so they will play around. So if yes, then you can ask them what they did. So what didn't work? This is another good one to ask. How easy is the user interface to understand? So again, this doesn't apply to all pieces of software, but if you have emphasis on user interface, you may want to keep that question. If you don't have any user interface because it's all command line, then you would probably delete that question. There's a question about performance, a question about stability. We ask them whether they run into bugs or not, which is interesting in the beta testing phase, so that you can fix some issues. So this morning we were discussing with a project where they'd already done some internal trials and they're in the process of fixing issues, but it could be interesting to know. And can the software be easily tested or not? That's another one. And finally, we have a section about the next steps. So whether the beta tester would be interested or not in using the software, whether they were interested to know more about it, exploring it with one of the developers, whether they would recommend it to somebody or not, whether they've shared it with someone yet or no. So if yes, why? And if no, why not? And how they could participate possibly in building the software. So that may not apply in a closed project, that may apply in an open source project, for example. So then we have a summary section just to summarize their idea. So did it run according to the documentation, yes or no? What's the most confusing part and what's the overall impression? So the most confusing part is, I don't know, X, and the overall impression is good. We have a little profiling question, which is, how did you learn about the project and the software? So, well, because you work in it, or etc. What kind of organization you represent, whether you're a developer, user, or business user, whether you're a member of the project or outside. And here, in case the people want to take part in the incentive program, and this is of course not compulsory because of GDPR, etc., they can provide their email address. Okay, this is the preview, so it gives you an idea of the questions. Now, the things you can do is customize the question. So we will not go through all of them, but so the software here is called Lime Survey. That's an open source software that we've integrated with ReachOut. And typically, in our case, for example, the first question, did you manage to install the software? So there's nothing to install for ReachOut. So maybe I want to rephrase this with, did you manage to for example, register with the ReachOut platform? So it's quite easy to modify. Also, you can decide whether the question is compulsory or not compulsory. So here I can do 7 close for that one. And for each question, then you can preview the question. So it's similar to the preview I showed you before, but just for that one question to see whether it's okay for you. So you can really customize it to your own project. That's the whole idea. And again, we're here to help you if you want to. So once you're happy about it and you think you're done, so you go back to the start of the questionnaire and you activate this survey. So it tells you that once you activate you will only be able to modify some wording in case you've done some spelling mistakes, but you will not be able to add or delete other questions. So this should be really done once you're definite about the survey and the questionnaire that you want to provide to your beta testers. So let's just say we're doing it here. So now if I go back to my home page here and I go back to my project, I should now see that so I'll reload the page for synchronization purposes, and I should see that the platform, the campaign is now active. I no longer have the warning that it was not active. And I can still edit the details again. If I need to provide some more documentation, I can still, of course, modify the dashboard. So now if we want to play the game of what a beta tester would see, I'll be in a private window to make sure I'm not logged in somehow. So imagine now that we're a beta tester who visits the ReachOut website. What they will see is they want to check out the existing campaign. So here we see that there's a new one here, which lasts about an hour. It ends on the 30th of June. And I can assume that I'm interested, so I will just put my name, my email address here. I want to participate in incentives, so it tells me I will receive a confirmation email soon. Also, the email of the beta tester is registered for the campaign itself, and I may be quite happy to answer the feedback questionnaire. So if I go on the feedback questionnaire here, I will see the questionnaire that's now live, and I will be able to answer it. So I'll go through it quickly so we have an answer. So here we can see that new one. Did I manage to run these? So this one is not customized, of course, because this is just a demo. So basically, the beta tester would run through the whole scenario and fill in the reply. So what I want to get to is that the campaign manager at the end of this will get the answer through the Lime Survey platform that we saw, and will be able to see the results. I'm just providing an answer here quickly so that we can get some information in the results here. So because all the questions are compulsory, I have to answer all of them, and then I do submit, and that's fine. So if I take the rollback of the campaign manager and I go back to my survey here, the survey is running. So I've got the responses. Sorry, I can go to the statistics of the responses here, which is best, and go to the simple mode. In the simple mode, I've got little graphs like this, which show me, so I've only got one answer here, which is not interesting, but I could have the simple graph here with all the different replies. Also, if I go to my mailbox and I check for email, as a campaign manager, I can see that, sorry, I can see here that a response was submitted. So here we have the response with all the details, and if some people put some comments, so here we see tests. So this is like the text version. In the in Survey, you can also export all the responses in various formats. So you can export them here in a format that you want to be able to, for example, work in a spreadsheet or something. So this gives you all the tools to be able to analyze the replies, and you get a notification every time a reply comes in.